months ago. I was in Michael's, which is a craft store, and I was looking for picture frames. And while I was in there, a woman was there with her daughter, who looked to be between 6 and 8 years old. As I was walking in, I saw her kind of walking in with her daughter, and I just went back straight to the frames and was looking for a specific frame for a photo that I had. And as I was there, she came back into the aisle that I was in. She was being very loud, rather obnoxious, cussing a lot, saying that she hates this state, hates the prices, hates the shipping, a lot of hate, and real loud, like she was looking for an audience. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't wanna. So I went to the next aisle, and about 5 seconds later, she comes into that aisle, just chirping away, cussing, swearing, running down the state, the prices, everything. Prices in Michael's. And she, all the while, she was cussing at her daughter as well. And her daughter looked concerned, a little on edge, I guess. I got the impression that this wasn't anything new. It's something she was probably used to hearing her mom do. And I wouldn't say she looked scared, but I would say that she looked a little on edge. I know that feeling. We've all been there, where somebody's just raining down on us with their fury at whatever, the world. But she continued on and cussing, swearing, really no class whatsoever. I mean, and so I went to the next aisle, just trying to get away from her. And then she came into the next aisle. So this happened about 3-4 aisles. And finally I realized, my God, she's just not going to stop. So I was kind of getting ready to gear up and go, and I was at the end of the aisle, and there was a checkout, or a stock gal there. Looked to be about 18, 19 years old. And the gal comes, she's walking towards me. I'm at the end of the aisle, checking something at the end of the aisle. And I hear her cussing at her daughter, hurry the F up, don't effing touch that, F. And then she shoved her. And I said, hey, that's enough. And she said, excuse me. And I said, don't put your hands on her again. Don't touch her again. And I said, if you put your hands on her again, I'm calling the cops. And she called me a horse face, which, whatever, maybe. And she proceeded to cuss some more, and I proceeded to forget myself for a minute and politely ask her to step outside, and that I'd be willing to show her exactly what it felt like for somebody her own size to shove her. At this point, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I was pretty pissed. And that little girl was, she didn't deserve that. She just didn't deserve it. It was abuse. And so I proceeded to tell her, put your hands on her again and see what happens, basically. And I told her, I said, if you hate this state so much, why don't you get the hell out of it? And I said, but leave her, because you don't deserve her. You don't deserve a beautiful daughter like that. And she stomped out of the store, cussing the whole time, screamed F you at the end of the store. And I hollered, have a nice day. Well, so that was about 3 months ago, and I did want to call child services. I was really concerned about the little girl. And the stock gal that was there, the manager came, and I told him, if you need me to leave. And the stock girl said, no, don't leave. You're not the problem. And she said, I wish I had the guts to stand up to people like that. And the reality is I don't have the guts to stand up to people like that. But when it comes to elderly, children, anyone with any disability whatsoever, anyone that can't advocate or stand up for themselves, I have no problem, for whatever reason, putting myself in harm's way to protect people like that, And it's an instinct. It's an instinct. I don't go around land blasting people with my opinions. I very, very rarely do that. I did everything I could to get away from this woman because she was clearly not healthy, you know. Whether she's just a jerk or whether she has some further issues that, you know, I'm not qualified to say one way or another. She has no right to put her hands on a child. And when it comes to that, I get weird. I get weird. I stay weird. I get weird. I'm not ashamed of it. The only thing that I was concerned about is her taking it out on her daughter after she left. I was a little worried about that. And I really wanted to get child services involved, but we had no name. We just had a video, the store video, and the store clerk was a witness of what happened. But anyway, about 3 months later, a friend of mine sends me this post that was on one of the social media networks. And she said, "Is this the lady that you confronted?" She sent me a picture. Sure enough, it was her. But someone else had posted something on like a T-spill is what they call it, a platform or a group, about running into their first Karen at a pet food store. And apparently the gal yelled at her for something. Who knows what the circumstances were. I really didn't look into it much. But the gal that I confronted responded to her and said that she had run into a Karen herself. And I'm just going to read you her message. I'll have to bleep some of it out because she is just not the classiest of ladies. So she says, "My incident was at Michael's. I was talking with my 8-year-old and frustrated with the clearance prices. Who isn't when you shop there? And I got tired of looking at clearance stuff and told my kid, 'Let's go. I'm done with this damn aisle. Let's go down to the other side of the other side.' And an older female with an overgrown looking bowl cut starts berating me and telling me I didn't deserve my kid and I should leave Alaska and leave her here and that she was going to call the police. I snapped when I shouldn't have and told her to call the damn cops, you horse-faced C-word. My daughter was clinging to me and scared of this crazy old hag as I called my sister, because if I didn't, my kid's reaction to her would have caused me to flip out and end up in jail. My daughter had nightmares for over 3 months thinking some old hag was going to take her away from me and make me leave Alaska. Even though I told her over and over that they'd have to kill me to get to us to leave our ancestral home. These types of people don't need a reason to be absolutely despicable. They are miserable human beings who think they need to destroy everyone around them. Chin up, blank name. You're a good person. Don't let the miserable people bring you down." I had to laugh. She changed the narrative substantially. She wasn't chatting with her daughter about clearance prices. She was cussing and swearing at the top of her lungs. She was throwing things back in the aisle. She was shoving her daughter. She was yanking her daughter. She was horrible. She was horrible. 2, a bowl cut? Really? It's not that bad, is it? I laughed. I just laughed at that. I thought that was kind of funny. I hope her daughter didn't have nightmares. I hope that part's not true. I think having her as a mother might be a nightmare in its own. Her daughter wasn't clinging to her. That wasn't accurate. And she didn't call anybody. I don't know what she's talking about there. And she's the same age I am. So, old hag. Yikes. Ouch. Anyway, my point in all of this is don't let reactions like that deter you. If you see something wrong, say something. If you see something, say something. Don't put yourself in harm's way. I have a tendency to put myself between a rock and a hard place sometimes. And I think that we've talked about how I have ADHD and just kind of a quick reflex without thinking sometimes. And I've done that a few times in my life. So I have to be very careful. I didn't feel like I was in harm's way with this woman. To be perfectly honest, between you and me, had she taken a swing, I would have knocked her on her ass. But that's not the person I am. That's not the way I want to be, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that in front of a child. I just wasn't okay with the way she was treating that little girl. Beautiful little girl. And people who treat children that way don't deserve children, because they truly are a blessing. So when it comes to that, when it comes to somebody that looks like they shouldn't be with another person, another incident, I was at Target and I was with a friend and we were buying a coffee in the Starbucks that's connected to Target. And there was this guy, he looked to be maybe late 20s, early 30s, and he had this young girl with him who looked to be no older than 10, 11 years old. And he pulls up this bikini and he says, "I got this for you. Aren't you excited?" And the way that he was doing it was just odd. It just struck me as odd, because what grown man, and it didn't look like he was her father, and she looked scared. And I turned and I tapped my friend and I said, "Look at this." And by the time I turned around, he had realized that he had caught my attention, and he scurried out of the store. And I tried to go out and get a license plate number, and I didn't get it in time. And I wished, instead of getting my friend, that I would have paid more attention to him. But it was weird. It was weird. And even if I'm wrong, what if? What if I wasn't wrong? So if you see something weird, take a picture, take a note, call the cops. I've got my son's friend is a dispatcher at the police department, and I talked to him about the incident, Michael's, and he said, call it in. At least it's on record. And this woman turned around and made a post on a social network, so now I've got her name. So I did call it in to Child Services, even though it was 3 months ago. I just said I thought it'd be worth a welfare check. A little more investigation, come to find out she has 8 children by many different individuals, and it just seems like a bit of a chaotic situation. So the way she was treating her kid that day in public made me really concerned about what she was doing outside of the public eye. So I think it's important as a society, if you see something weird, say something, do something, snap a photo, call the police department, call Child Services, involve someone else, Adult Protective Services. These agencies are there for a reason, but also we're there for a reason. And there are people on this planet that need to be protected, and I think it's everyone's responsibility to step in. So be weird. Be weird. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And that doesn't mean go be a Karen, as they call them, you know. Or Jessica, I guess. You know, don't throw your opinions where they don't belong. That's a different story, you know. I've seen people freak out at stores, and it's all about opinions. With the political turmoil, you know, with the heat going on with the Democrats and the Republicans right now, there's a lot of opinions being slung around. And the reality is, I don't know that too many people care about it, about your opinion, you know. It's yours. Keep it to yourself. If you're in a conversation and somebody inquires about it, that's one thing, but just in general, you know, don't throw your views down somebody else's throat. I think that's wrong. I think it's almost bullying sometimes. I don't talk politics, I don't talk religion very often, I don't talk about sensitive subjects because honestly, I don't want to hear it. I have my beliefs, I have my feelings, I have how I feel about things, and they're mine. I don't shove my beliefs down anybody else's throat, you know. Anyway, I just thought I'd chat about that incident. It's come to my mind a few times, not because she posted something about it, but just the situation made me uncomfortable. There's been other situations throughout my life. There was once when we lived in Virginia, there was a guy beating the hell out of a gal, and I drove my car up over the curb and blared my horn at him, and he beat on my car, and he came to my driver's side door. He was clearly on drugs, and my husband got out to defend me, and that guy went for my husband, and I got out and I screamed, "I've called the cops, they're coming, I hear them," and he took off running. And I realized in that moment, I could have gotten my husband hurt. What if he had a knife, a gun? You know, so I've been a little more careful about stepping in. Don't ever put yourself in harm's way. That's just not, that's not gonna help anybody. But snap a picture, make a phone call. You know, if it's not a threatening situation, say something. Say something. Be weird. You know, if a child looks like they're in a bad situation, ask them if they're okay. Get the store manager, but you know, follow them for a little bit. Get the license plate number. Do something. So many children, so many people are being abused, neglected, sold, sex trafficking. There's so many negative and evil things going on in this world that we have a responsibility to say and do something about it. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really sad, isn't it? What's going on in this world. There's so much positive as well, but don't ever feel like you're overstepping by saying or doing something. Speak up. Speak up. It's our responsibility. You know? Speak up. All right, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful week.